You guys ready for a lesson on structured water? This is going to trip you out. Now, for any of you who have been wondering, what is structured water and why are people talking about it? Well, structured water is all water. All water has a structure. Now, not all water, and I think actually almost very little water actually is structured like H2O, like what you're familiar with. Some of the earliest studies that I saw examining the molecular structure of water suggested that most water has about 36 molecules in it. Although I think the truth is that the conclusions that people seem to have drawn about water seem primarily to me to be a side effect of the mechanisms that they chose to examine water with. When it comes to structured water, let me ask you, do you think that's structured? Or is this structured? Well, according to Gerald Pollack, they'd be both structured. Reason why? If you look at those little droplets, those are Zwitter ions of water. They're little balls of water. They're not droplets of air, but they're water molecules that are actually being repelled by the other water. That's because they have a high positive charge on one side and a high negative charge on the other. Not a high pH or low pH, but rather a higher positive and negative, which makes the water more suitable for performing the function of, well, dissolving salts into solution, being the universal solvent that it is. Well, that too this one too has a structured water in it, H3O2. But if you look at the screen, what's the difference between these two? Well, this one comes from my agricultural unit. It's designed to splash and disperse and carry a lot of air with it to aerate the ground and eliminate anaerobic zones that could destroy roots. This one's used for cleaning, to washing. This is a very soft water. It has a very soft feel to it. The molecules stay together. The water stream stays together. It wants to stay together. That's why it splashes all up really high when it hits the ground and it's broken. But it wants to stay together because the intermolecular forces are holding the water to itself. This form of water will actually flow up through capillaries much, much better as well. This one penetrates the ground better. This one climbs up through your arteries better. Climbs up through the phloem of the trees better. So the question is, what kind of water do you want? Do you need? And does a person that is selling you a water unit even know whether their water structure has increased adhesive, or adhesive properties? Do they even know what those terms are? Can they tell you what the structure is, and can they show you why? Now, if you change the structure of water, what you're going to see is a change in the refractivity index. You're going to see a change in the attraction of the water to the sidewall of a pipe or a cylinder. So we use graduated cylinders. I'm going to go ahead and show you a test where we use graduated cylinders to examine the water's attraction to oxygen. Specifically, these are borosilicate glabware, glabware, and the borosilicate has a silicon molecule on the outside, which has an oxygen outside of the silica. And so the oxygen on the outside of the silica glassware attracts the hydrogen in the water. So if we have a high balance of oxygen molecules available on the outside, which normally you look at a water molecule and be like, oh yeah, well, it's got more sides of it that would be attracted to the silica. Well, the effect is the water climbs up the sidewall and creates what is known as a meniscus, because it's the surface of the water is attracted to those side walls that are made out of glass. Now, also strangely enough, if you take a polyurethane or any sort of plastic, hydrocarbon, graduated cylinder, that meniscus that you would have if your water molecule or your liquid is attracted to the sidewalls will disappear in that other cylinder. So this is a simple way of looking at it. I was going to I bought this $10,000 interferometer, platinum iridium interferometer, and I realized I was looking at the thing and I'm like, so freaking what? People don't need me to sit in the lab and say, well, I got this really expensive device that's all techie and blah, blah, blah. What people need is to understand how they can tell if their water structure, how they can identify the properties, how they can tell, is this something worthwhile? Am I getting ripped off? What is actually going on here? Because I can tell you, I've spent so many years trying to get just basic answers about water. When I was younger, and I've always been interested in health and wanting to do the right thing. And the bottom line is that I don't think that I came to the conclusion I didn't meet anybody that knew what they were talking about, or what they would be repeating things that other people said. They'd be selling products and they would inadvertently, everyone would say, oh, this product's good for everything. And nothing is good for everything. Literally, if you have everything, you need a lot of nothing or space to put it in. Okay, that's the only thing that's good for everything is nothing, space to put it in. Separate it out. If you put everything together, if you're going to say anything's good for everything, well, that's try ketchup on your ice cream. Okay, I mean, maybe you'll like it, right? I don't know. So what I want to help you with, what I want to help everybody with when it comes to structured water is, and water in general, like the pH, high pH waters, high pH water, is that good? Is it bad? What should it be doing? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm going to give you some honest answers. And yeah, I make devices, but I don't sell products. I test things. And I want you to test me. I want you to test the competition. I want people to start testing their stuff now. I want people to see, does this work? Does that work? I don't want to have an argument about what device is the best. There's no reason for argument. What reason is testing, evaluating. Let's see what all these different devices do. Let's see what sort of benefit we can actually derive or expect to derive out of any sort of change we might perceive in one device versus the other. And let's be honest. Let's be honest about what's actually good, what's actually bad. And let's use things or techniques that we all can understand, that we can all verify to determine the worth of these different devices. And if I had one wish, I really hope the next generation doesn't have to spend nearly as much time trying to figure out what exactly water is. Because my God, it just was never put down in simple terms. And it's not complicated. It really isn't. The problem is, it's not well explained, because the people that are oftentimes educating us when it comes to these products, they're just salesmen. They're just trying to make money. They believe in the product. Do they know it? Do they understand it? No. Well, that's what. We're not my company, and anyone associated with me, we're not going to be salesmen. We're not going to sell shit. We're going to test shit. And if I find devices that work better than the ones I make, my goodness, I will shut my production down, and I will start promoting their product. I swear to God. Because I don't want to be wasting my time putting so much effort into actually doing what I'm doing. If there's an easier, better way to do it, my goodness, I would rather play with my children. So, yeah, that's the gist of it. I look forward to actually sharing everything I've learned because, my goodness, I have found some really interesting stuff. With what should have been, I guess, most people would assume would be something that is just so incredibly simple. It's not. Water's not simple. It's sophisticated. And I hope to have discussions with all the different people that are building different water structuring units. I do know a lot of the different devices I've seen. I do not have any faith, or I do not believe have any credibility. I know that a lot of the devices, companies on the market, have copied older versions or done a poor job copying technology or devices or designs that I had made in the past without actually even understanding the first thing about how they worked or how they were supposed to work or why they worked. And I see a lot of people talking about vortexing. And I just like to say, if you're selling a device that they're saying vortexing, why don't you just sell toilet bowls? Like, they vortex water. Maybe that's why dogs and cats drink out of it, right? The vortexing power of the toilet bowl. And honestly, if that's the case, I'm going to have to go ahead and start doing some testing on toilet bowls to see if they are actually superior or equivalent. Like, how do they match up against the top level water structuring technology? Maybe we've been sitting on top of the best device that has been created so far. Who knows? We won't know until we test it. And that's exactly what I intend to do. My name is Joseph Johnson. And yeah, I'm a water hero.